Alright, people, review of the week time. So, lot to discuss, lot to talk about from last night, lot to preview for the week ahead, just a lot of stuff to talk about. In a month in which August is a pretty dead month if you think about it on the scene. You know, what I mean, like we have this show that was on last night, and then obviously we have the show next weekend is Jack Rafferty versus Mark Chamberlain, which is actually a pretty decent card to be fair. It is Queensbury card, so that's not too bad. That's something, and then it's really nothing. And then we're into September, which is actually a pretty good month. Obviously, it's Canelo versus Crawford. Big smile, love that fight. And yeah, Paddy Donovan, Lewis Crooker. October's a decent month, and November is just like, wow, like whoa. That is like, yo, that's something else, all right, altogether. But this month is kind of like the calm before the storm. So, it's such a quiet month that I'm home for this week. Ade's going to Greece next, or yeah, well, he's going to Greece tomorrow, and he's on recharge mode. Him and the missus, they're both of them deserve a break, long overdue break, because Ade's been just like a man possessed with work and travel and everything lately. So next week, normal service, Ade and G man, look back, all that stuff, it will be resumed. For this week, I'll hold the fort down while I'm home. While I'm home for this week. Need a week at home back in Dublin. I just love coming home. I just love it. London is such a hectic city. I know I'm long-winded intro here, but London is such a hectic city that even though I live in Dublin, it's a kind of country part of Dublin. So it's nice and quiet. I wake up in the morning, my window's wide open, and all I can hear is birds singing, as opposed to cars beeping and engines revving or sirens, which I hear all the time in East London. But anyway, let's talk about last night. Let's talk about the card. Let's talk about the fights that were on it. Ray Ford looked good against Abraham Nova. But big up to Abraham Nova. He definitely brought it, and he won more than his fair share of rounds in there. He's huge, isn't he? He's massive. He's managed by Napper, who was Chris Eubank Jr.'s manager. Shout out to him every single time. He's a great guy. He said Abraham Nova would be big on fight night, and by God he was. I love the mascot he comes to the ring with. He's a character. And he gave a good account of himself there against Ray Ford, who's a very good fighter, very capable fighter. So that was a really great way to open the show. I really enjoyed that scrap. Really enjoyed it. Thought it was fun. Yes, Ray Ford was the deserved winner, but Abraham Nova, man, he's no slouch. No slouch, certainly not. We saw Nick Ball. This is not in chronological order, by the way. We saw Nick Ball versus Sam Goodman. That was actually the co-main. Now, going to that fight, I felt Nick Ball would have to beat the Sam Goodman, and he did. If you go and watch the fight, it was a Nick Ball win. I mean, yes, there's no two ways about it. It was a Nick Ball win, but it was competitive. It was nip and tuck. Andy Lee, I think, had Nick Ball by 2. Yeah, maybe give Nick Ball another round, and there you go. It was a kind of an 8-4 type fight, 5-7, 8-4 type fight, which is close to then moderately close. One of the judges had it 115, 113, which again, close fight, 5-7. Two of them, I don't know what they were doing. One of them had it 170, 111. When I heard that, I was like, whoa. And then one judge came with the 118, 110, and I was like, hold up right here. No, Sam Goodman won more than 2 rounds. There's no ifs or he won more than 2 rounds. Sorry, but those scorecards were ridiculous, which is strange because normally when we go to these Riyadh events in Riyadh, the scorecards are normally pretty accurate. And even when we have fights where they look like a robbery, there's always a fairly accurate scorecard in it, like against, Hamza Sheeris, Adames. Sheeris lost the fight, but Adames, one of them had a real wide for Adames, correctly so, by the way. They're normally quite on point. The right guy won, but you were like, wow, they were wide. Bizarrely wide. So, no, Sam Goodman gave a good account of himself. I don't know what way the judges scored that fight. I really don't. It's the 118, 110. I can't get over that one. That one is just shocking. Bad stuff. Fight of the night was definitely Herovich versus Adela. I thought it would be. I thought it'd be good. I thought Herovich would stop Adela, and he came close in the 8th round, but then he actually came close to getting stopped. I have to say, Adela impressed me. Even in defeat, I did wonder. Adela always came across as a bit of a bully, bit of a bullish character, the hard man. And whenever I've seen fighters like that, more often than not, when they're on the verge of getting stopped, they tend to look for a way out. they tend to not have the most heart, the most resolve in them. Normally, Kovalev is an example. You see other kind of on top fighters, they're kind of playing the bully, and once they're bullied, they tend to crumble very quick. Well, Dale was bullied in there, and he wasn't quitting. He was given as good as he got. Some people in the live watch along were saying that they felt that fight was winnable for Adela, and I guess it was. Although I was impressed with Herovich, I have to say I did like what I seen from him. I do think it was a winnable fight for Adela. I think he fought with himself a couple of times, and I think he needed Adam Boot to read him the riot act at times to get him to let the hands go, which I feel as though if he did that early and he kept the shape a little bit better, because he was keeping his shape quite well the first 2 rounds, got the cut over Herovich's eye, which is going to be a problem moving forward, the fact that cut keeps opening, and was able to get the cut. But then once round kind of like 5 came, it seemed like he just lost his shape altogether. Got it back round 7 and 8, and then I think he was just knackered from the beating in the last 2 rounds. But it was a good performance from Herovich. It was a good performance, even in defeat from Adela. I was impressed with him. So yeah, I think that Adela can come again. As for Herovich, and I'll talk about him now in a wee bit, don't need to go over Dillian Whyte, Ituma again. Dillian Whyte knocked out and around by Ituma, stopped. What I will say, it does lead me into the next part of this, which is Dillian Whyte and Moses Itauma. What's going to happen with those two? Well, Dillian Whyte, I believe, has posted a couple of things on Instagram saying that he will be back. So, although we think that's Dillian Whyte done and that's him needing to retire, I guess the pride in Dillian Whyte, and look, I can't really hate on this. If it's your last fight in boxing, and not like, this isn't like if you're a journeyman or, a fringe contender who's at the end of their career, or maybe a domestic level fighter who just doesn't have it in the tank anymore. If you're someone like Dillian Whyte who's headline pay-per-views, i.e. this one, who's been involved in big fights, who's done stadiums like Wembley Stadium when he fought Fury, you really don't want to go out on a loss like that, do you? You don't. Your pride will tell you, look, going out is one thing, but going out on a first round knockout defeat, can I take that? Dillian Whyte can come back, but as in he can come back in the sense of he can have a fight. He's not the same. He'll never be the same. He can't turn the clock back. What's been done is done. Father Time is undefeated. The wear and tear, you can't stop that. It's done. It's happened, right? But if you want to go in there with an Ebenezer Tete type character and go out on a win, I can't hate on that. I think Dillian Whyte needs to really take everything serious, and if he's injured, which some people believe he might have been, then okay, make sure you're injury free and don't do any crash diet and losing this weight. I was gonna say I don't agree with him coming back, but like at the end of the day, it's easy for me to say if I was in his shoes, I probably would do the same, come back and not want to go out like that. But at the same time, you got to think of your health at the end of the day as well. And I don't know. I think Dillian Whyte is well and truly done. That's just in my opinion. But I'm not going to turn around and say, well, I've already said it. But you know what I mean? It's not for me to tell a fighter if he should retire or not. The fighter and his team really should know that. But Dillian Whyte insinuating that he will be back. As for Moses Itauma, in the ring they were mentioning Alexander Usyk. That was the name. Usyk. Listen, I've said it once, I'll say it again. I want to see that fight because I don't think he's ready for Alexander Usyk. I think he'd be soundly beaten. I think that it will be competitive early on because of the speed of Moses Itauma. He'd be probably outspeeding Alexander Usyk, but Usyk is a veteran. He's tremendously talented. He's technically precise. He's just a phenomenal fighter. And I personally could not see Moses Itauma lasting the full 12 rounds, much less winning against Alexander Usyk. I just can't see it. So for me, it would be a resounding Alexander Usyk win. I guess you would look at that in one sense and say, well, if you put him in with Alexander Usyk, he probably won't get damaged. And that's fair enough, yeah. Genuinely, yeah, he probably wouldn't get damaged. He might get dropped like Daniel Dubois, but like not damage. Like Daniel Dubois, I didn't think took really damage against Alexander Usyk. He was stopped, but like, it wasn't like, I would say probably Adela took more damage against Herovich than Dubois took against Alexander Usyk, probably, because he was hit a lot more. In terms of Ituma, I think it would be something similar to that. So you could certainly lose that fight and come back. It's not a problem. But do you need to? And do they need to do that fight? They need to rush him that quick? Because And as well as that, you have to figure as well, why should Itauma beating a shot to bits Dillian Whyte jump the queue on guys like Joseph Parker and on guys like Adja Kabayel? Serious question. Why should he jump the queue? Because they've been waiting for their shot. Why should Itauma, off the back of a win over Dillian Whyte, a shot to bits Dillian Whyte, get that title shot? Fair is fair. That's fair, right? It'd be the same if Anthony Joshua went in there and got a win over, hypothetically, let's say he fought Dillian Whyte, hypothetically, and then they were like, right, give Usyk next. I'd be like, what? I was going to say a swear word there, but you know what I mean? That's BS. You can't do that. Well, you can, but it's not right. So I would like to see them match Itauma with someone durable. Jermaine Franklin, Martin McCauley, is he durable? He's definitely dangerous. Filip Herovich, definitely. I think Herovich might be the fight to make, if not him or Franklin. I seen in the comment section the video I did about that, some people saying Zhang. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you probably could. It'd certainly be dangerous, very dangerous with that left hand. Southpaw against Southpaw, be interesting. But the thing is, I think with Zhang, he's 41. He has the worst stamina in the heavyweight division. Itauma would only need to go a couple of rounds, and then he's probably got, he's basically got a statue in front of him. So I don't know, would that tell us a great deal about him? Whereas I think the other two names, respectively, would. Although, I would watch the fight against Zhilei Zhang. Absolutely, certainly. I mean, it'd be very interesting. Zhilei Zhang is a fighter I really do enjoy watching. So, I wouldn't be dead set against it. But for me, they're the fights to make, in my opinion. They are. I want to talk very briefly about Tyson Fury, because there's a couple of pictures of Tyson Fury doing the rounds where he appears to be on a family vacation. I don't know where necessarily it is, but he definitely appears to be on a family location, because I seen a pic and it was shared to the Element group of Tyson Fury doing like a jump into a lake or pool or something. And long and the short of it, he looks very heavy. Very, very heavy. That, to me, has me thinking maybe he is actually potentially serious about this retirement. Because you think if he was getting ready to come back, or if he thought there was an Alexander Usyk fight in the pipeline, he'd want to be getting himself into shape now. And at the end of the day, right, Fury is never going to be the body beautiful type. But better, and he should have learned this from the first fight or going into the second fight. If you know, or you have any suspicions that you're going to be fighting said opponent in the next 6 to 8 months, on it like a car bonnet, switched on, straight into camp. Don't have to go into camp to lose weight. It's already lost. Boom, we're good to go. Has me think we won't be seeing him anytime soon. I know he's saying he's retired. Maybe a broken clock is right twice a day. Let's wait and see. Now, I was on Everything Boxing and I seen them share this. It's quotes from Eddie Hearn on DAZN. Eddie Hearn says, so basically Eddie Hearn's DAZN deal expires next year. And Eddie Hearn said the following: our plan is to extend with DAZN. They've been a great partner. We're a huge part of the business. We know as well there'd be other opportunities in different markets, but we love the relationship with DAZN. And for our global plan and global events, they're the perfect partner. I would be amazed if Eddie Hearn leaves DAZN. I don't think that is feasible. I really don't think it's a feasible option to leave DAZN. Where would you go? Unless you can get a deal with Netflix, maybe. Then I think DAZN, and again, would they give him the budget that DAZN are giving him? I can't see Eddie Hearn leaving DAZN, and I don't think he'd really want to. I think with Turkey being involved, again, it kind of seems like Netflix would be the only other option, and then you're dealing with Dana White. No, I'd be very, very surprised if Eddie leaves DAZN. Shocked if he did. Joe Cordina returning possibly in Monaco. Eddie Hearn said either November or December. He boxed in Monaco before. He may be returning there. We are planning December 6th in Monaco. That card will be announced soon. I have to say, right, and I've said this before about Monaco. Great city, but just like the Monaco Grand Prix, the Monaco shows are a chore to watch. They really are. because I think the ambience in the arena, the way it is, and look, it's Monaco. You know, you're not talking about the York Hall. You're not talking about Bethnal Green. You're not talking about Greenwich, where the O2 is. You're not talking about Wembley Park, where the OVO is. It's Monaco, Casino Square. They are not going to be cheering at the top of their lungs. The atmosphere is usually as if you were going to a funeral, right? And no one liked the guy. So everyone is just like, eh. That's literally what it's like. It's awful, the atmosphere in there. And I think it impacts the fights. Because I cannot recall for the life of me a fight that was good in Monaco on any of them cards. And he's done cards where on paper there should be good fights. And I just think the atmosphere in there is just, it goes from to you know, it's just like but that's what it's like. So yeah, Monaco, he's sticking with it. Apataya likely to fight his mandatory next. Unfortunately for Jay, Gilberto has an injury. Oh, really? So it sounds like next year? Oh, for God's sake. Okay. So we're not getting Jay Apataya. Brilliant. Virgil Ortiz, Erickson Lubin on October the 18th, WBC interim champion. Virgil Ortiz will face IBF number 1, Erickson Lubin, reported being finalised for the 18th of October on DAZN. You know, Erickson Lubin is not a terrible fighter by no stretch of the imagination, but he has no chin. So I suspect he is going to get absolutely annihilated by Virgil Ortiz. He's a good fighter, he's fast, he's got a little bit of ability, got a bit of pop there. No chin. No chin. So yeah, good luck with that. So here's the thing, right? Joseph Parker and Alexander Usyk have yet to begin talks. The WBO officially ordered Alexander Usyk on July the 24th. The parties have until August 23rd. This Saturday or Friday, one or the other, to reach a deal. Okay, fair enough. Joseph Parker's promoter David Higgins has said there is no noise, no engagement, no negotiations with Team Usyk. All thinking and wisdom is that Usyk doesn't want to defend his WBO title. That is the feeling. If Usyk doesn't fight Parker, Moses is next in line to face the New Zealander for the vacant title. Well, actually, it'll just be upgraded to Joseph Parker. Now, it's been reported that Alexander Usyk is injured and is seeking an exemption on this, or an extension more so, really, should be probably what I've been saying, by the WBO in order to keep his belt, essentially to kick the can down the road. That's essentially what it is. You're just kicking the can down the road. Quite frankly, for me, right, and I've said this before, I love Alexander Usyk. He's one of my absolute favourite fighters. I love what he's done for the sport. I love what he represents, because he's not just a really, really good fighter. He does it the right way. So I have a lot of time for Alexander Usyk. I don't think I've ever had to critique him, and I'd be surprised if I ever will have to critique him. He is just that sort of a guy. But the mandatories are there for a reason. Parker has waited long enough. If you cannot fulfill this obligation, then you're either going to get stripped of it or you vacate it. It's as simple as that, right? I get he's injured. I get he's a legend. I get he's great. But at the end of the day, that's what it is. Rules are rules. In exceptional circumstances, you might say, okay, let's wait and see. Listen, it's been going on too long now. I'm sorry, but it's just been going on too long. They need to get a move on. They absolutely need to get a move on. And that's what I got to say on that. Alexander Usyk, who is he going to fight? Like, who is he going to fight? He's not obliged to, start, negotiating stuff like that, or any fight really, because obviously he's just coming off the back of that win over Dubois. He spoke about being away from his family, wanting to spend time with them and stuff like that. And I 100% respect that. And I get that. But you're undisputed champion. They're your belts. You have to defend them. You have mandatories. The rematches haven't helped things. But that is the way it is. As far as I'm concerned, you got to defend those titles. You just got to do it. And if you can't defend them against your mandatory, then boom, it has to be stripped. I know you like being undisputed, but that's just the way it is. So that's what I got to say on that. What else is there? Let's have a look at the Ring Magazine's X account, of which there isn't a great. You know what, right? I love the Ring Magazine. They've been good. They've been very good to me. But I do miss Michael Benson running this page, because there's a lot of miscellaneous stuff that goes on. A lot of it. Stuff that you're just like, don't care. Whereas when this was Benson's account, It was just like news, 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 news. It was great. Sebastian Fundora and Keith Thurman have a deal in place to meet for Fundora's next fight on October the 25th in Las Vegas at the MGM Grand. Sources told Mike Coppinger the fight will be a PBC pay-per-view on Prime. Sebastian Fundora should be thanking Keith Thurman, because if it wasn't for him pulling out with the Tim Tszyu fight and him stepping in, he wouldn't have won that world title. He probably would have won it eventually, but not as quick. Hate the fight. Keith Thurman shot the bits. Wasn't impressed with him last time out against Brock Javez, who I think is a blown up 140 pounder. Hate the fight, don't want to see it. Simple as, hate the fight, don't want to see it. Sebastian Fundora should be doing better. Keith Thurman checked out years ago. Keith Thurman checked out when he beat Danny Garcia. When Keith Thurman fought and beat Danny Garcia, I think it was at March 4th, 2017, 8 years ago. It is 8 years ago now, isn't it? Yeah, it is 8 years ago. He checked out at that point. He literally checked out at that point because his next fight wasn't until nearly 2 years later against Josecito Lopez, and then he lost to Manny Pacquiao. So I don't care about Keith Thurman. And one of the reasons why I get a little bit animated with Keith Thurman is because he was one of my favourite fighters in the kind of 2010s, in the early half of the 2010s. I loved watching Keith Thurman. I loved him when he was one time and not run time. Man, Keith Thurman was good back then. He was useful. I don't know what's happened to him. He's made some money. He got married. He's got lazy, and don't care. Don't want to see that. I don't want to see Keith Thurman against Sebastian Fundora. He's not got a sniff of a prayer him winning. There's going to be about a foot of difference in height. No interest. Absolutely no interest. And oh good God, like Ring Magazine, seriously, like the amount of absolute crap that is on their X account it's just stuff that no one gives a crap about. Like, this is why everything boxing is so good, because it's just boxing news. All right, it's just boxing news, and that's what we want. And big up to everything boxing every time. Don King has announced that the WBA regular heavyweight title fight between Kubrat Pulev and Michael Hunter, which he won the purse bid for by offering 1.1 million, didn't think he even had that, will take place on October the 4th, in spite of the fact that Michael Hunter is signed to fight Big Farmer Miller on September 11th. So what is going on there? Like, I mean, what is going on there? Seriously, like, Michael Hunter has absolutely... Why would you sign with Don King and then be surprised when crap like this happens? You know, it's just, I just don't know. I really don't know. I really, truly don't know. I think that's pretty much it. I think we've definitely gone over the 20-minute mark. I always like to do review of the week in 20 minutes or more, because it's always you just want to get a good 20 minutes in, just go over the week, see what the news is, talk about this, give your 2 cents on it. And that's that. So, hope you enjoyed the video. You'll see this scene for the next few days, and then I'm back at the studio next week. For now, I will leave it there. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you have a great week, people. I hope you all do. I hope someone gets some good news this week, as I always say. We've been doing well. Things are looking up. Things are going good. We're all happy. I hope if you're not happy that things get better. But if you are happy, let's hope you stay happy. And yeah, let's go and attack the week. As they say, let's attack the week. I think it's going to be a good week. I think it's going to be a good week. I don't know why. I think it's going to be a good one. But let me know your thoughts on everything I talked about in this video. Until next time, people, which will probably be tomorrow. But hey, have a great one. Peace.